Hello everybody, it's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter and welcome to my weekly episode. This is episode number 370 for August the 25th, 2026. And I hope everybody's been having a good week so far. It's early in the week if you're watching this when it first comes out. And if you're watching it later, I hope you've had a good week. So let's get into what I have been working on. And this I showed the other day, but I want to talk about this in a little bit more detail. This, of course, is my Christmas table runner that I made from just, 4 different blocks that I purchased on OESD. These were not part of a project, like a table runner or placemats or anything. But, of course, they did suggest that you could make them into any of those things. Excuse me. I decided to go ahead with them and put them together for a table runner. Now, this is sort of a table runner that's kind of on the wider side. Lengthwise, it's okay. I could have put another couple of blocks into the center of it to make it a little longer, but I really don't know what I'm going to do with this. I didn't have a specific place in mind in my house, and it might end up just being a gift at Christmas time to somebody. I don't know who. But anyways, it did take some time. However, I didn't think it was going to take as long as it did. Sometimes embroidery files are misleading. On your embroidery machine, excuse me, it does come up on my Janome, gives you an estimated time of how long it's going to take you to do something, how to sew out a block. And I think these blocks worked out to just under about an hour and a half, maybe a little less than that. But of course, that doesn't take into consideration your thread changes, because if it's a single needle machine, you probably don't have, you have to change every time. There's a color change, right? So that takes up some of your time. So the reason I'm telling you this is because I know that some people maybe have got an embroidery machine, just got one, maybe don't have a lot of experience with your embroidery machine yet, and you're thinking about making things for Christmas. And if you are, then do set yourself a lot of time to work on one of these. This is not something you can put together the day before Christmas or, a couple of days before Christmas. It's going to take you some time. So you need to plan for it. And I've been talking about planning for Christmas, even though it's now almost the end of August. Yeah, you can never start too soon. But back to this. Okay, so some things about this. One of the tricky parts is having to line up your pieces. I mean, there are 4, 8, 12, another 6, that's 18, 20. There are 24 separate pieces to this that you stitch out. And then you have to stitch them all together. And lining them up can be really tricky, and I have a video on how I do it, but I'm not always perfect with it. And I'm going to point out, I'm going to do the thing that you're not supposed to do, but you know me. This is why it's called the Idiot Quilter. I like to point out my mistakes, problems, things I could do better. Well, if you look right here on this piece in the center, I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but right here, it didn't join up correctly. It's off by a little bit. But here's the problem. I could have moved it over a little bit, but then I'd have to fudge around with this one, because this one did this line here. Oops. This line. Oh, hey, that might be handy. This line. Hey, I didn't know I could do that. This line right in here lined up perfectly. So if I'd moved it, that wouldn't have worked. Now you might ask, well, why does that happen? Well, there's several factors for it. Like if you put a quilt on a long arm, or when you're quilting it on your domestic machine, you know that your fabric will all start to shrink up a little bit because of the stitches are pulling it in all directions. So, things get out of shape, basically. Well, here on something like this, the same thing happens. The other thing is sometimes, excuse me, you can't like I use pins and try to match it up that way, but you're putting right sides together. It's difficult to see where you need to sew. So sometimes it's just off, and that happens. Many times if that happens to me, I will tear out the stitching, I will unseam it, and I will try again. But I don't always have complete success. Now, one of my subscribers suggested, and I think this is an excellent idea, what she does is she gets it lined up, and in crucial parts, maybe where two patterns, like for here, for example, you see this is a line of satin stitching on these two pieces, and she would try to line those two up, and she'd put it to her sewing machine, and she'd put in just a couple of stitches right in those spots. Instead of sewing the whole piece, just a couple stitches in the crucial parts. Then open it up, take a look at it, and if she needed to readjust, it was easy to clip out those two stitches and redo it until she gets it right. Now that is fiddly, I will grant that, but if it's a really, really important project to you, then it's probably worth trying. And I think I will. Next time I put one of these together, I think I'll give that a try, because I hadn't thought of that. I think that was Teresa who suggested that idea. So thank you, Teresa, for that idea. Other things about this one, I usually, in the borders, I usually quilt those a little bit. Simple line quilting, like with a walking foot. I forgot to do it this time. I guess I'd had this hanging on my design wall for so long, I just want to get it done. So no quilting. However, this fabric has a design to it. I don't think anybody, especially a non-quilter, would even notice that. The other thing that I do, and you've heard me talk about this many, many times before, is I use invisible thread for putting all of this together. And even when I do the stitch in the ditch to hold the layers together, I use the invisible thread. On the back of this, you can't really see the stitching. It's more like there's an impression rather than actual seeing the thread. And that's okay, because if you go off in the ditch, and let's say you used a white thread here, but you went off and into the green, well, it's going to show up. But with the invisible thread, it does not. Yes, invisible thread can be a little bit of a bitch to use. However, I use it for a lot of things. I use it even for the binding on a quilt, or in this case, the binding that's here. I love it for this kind of thing because it hides a multitude of sins, as they will say. The other thing too is this is not wavy, by the way. It is straight. It's because I pinned it to my design wall, and so the weight of it is making it pull down here right now when I took the picture, but it's not wavy. It is straight. I do square it up before I put the binding on. But one thing about the binding too. Now, sometimes what I was doing in the past, because I was too lazy to make binding, I would just do the, what do they call it, the pillowcase method or envelope method, where it's wrong sides out, you stitch it up, leave a hole, pull everything through and restitch that hole. Well, there's two things I didn't like about that. One, even though I had clipped my corners, sometimes you wouldn't get nice crisp corners like you will with a piece of binding when you miter them. The other problem is the hole. I do not like hand stitching at all, so I would stitch it on my sewing machine. However, even though I was using invisible thread, you get a little lump where, you were trying to join it up. I never get it quite perfect. With binding, it gives me a nicer finish for my ability. So yeah, so these are fun to make. I do enjoy making them. I have an awful lot of table runners. I do not have enough tables for all those runners. Even if I swap them out every month, I have way too many. But I like making them, and the reason I like making them is because, given what I've already said about how long it takes to stitch these out, you can do others that don't take quite as long. And it's a nice palette cleanser from, working on a big quilt that you've been spending weeks and weeks on. Also, I find it relaxing. And yeah, and you've got something within a short period of time that you feel accomplished at. So there are many reasons why I like doing table runners, especially on the embroidery machine. The other project, and this is also another in the hoop embroidery machine project, this is a book bag, obviously, because it has books on it. Yeah, and it's a tote. It's a fully lined tote, and these are panels that were done in the hoop and then sewn together. Same process as with that table runner I just showed you, and the same problems. Although on this one, it's not quite so obvious. And where you see where parts didn't join up quite right are up here with the flower stems. And, you know, I ripped it out a couple of times to get those to line up, and that's as close as I could get it. Again, for the reasons I've stated before. Um, this is going to be a gift, but the person I'm giving it to, she is not a quilter or sewer. I am sure she will not really pay any attention to that, or she probably will think it's supposed to be that way. That's what I'm hoping. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But fun to do. And the beauty of doing something like this type of tote, yes, it takes longer. I mean, this one had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 panels times 2, because on the front and the back it's the same. So 16 panels. And yes, they all took a long time to do. But again, this is not something you do at the last minute. You plan for it. And I think the end result is very nice. And since she is a reader, I thought it was appropriate as a gift at Christmas. So so really, you know, your embroidery machine can do so much more than just putting a monogram on a singlet or on a towel. Okay. Um, and don't be afraid to try these kind of projects. Most of them from most of the major sites will come with fairly detailed instructions and pictures. Some even come have a video as well to show you. Um, don't get discouraged when you do your first one, because your first one's going to be your worst one. But that's okay. You will learn as you go along. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Have I told you how much I love doing these? Yeah, I think I have many times over. Okay, so that's what I have been up to. Oh, one other thing I want to show you. It's a work in progress. It's these. This is going to be, yes, another table runner or maybe a wall hanging. I haven't decided yet. This comes from the book I showed you last week by Tracy Parks, her Christmas pattern book. And Tracy Parks' whole style is, well, to make it very simple, it's squares and half square triangles. That's it. That's in her patterns. She lays them all out on a grid, as I have done up here, and you sew them all together and away you go. They're usually fairly fast to do. And I do recommend before you sew your rows together that you lay it out on something, either on a large design board or whatever you've got, because it does help. It can get a little confusing when you're looking at the grid because the pieces start to blend together. And yeah, now with this, I had to do a slight variation. I started out with some fat quarters, thinking to myself that would be enough. Well, it was enough to make one. It was not enough to make two in exactly the same colors. So I altered some of the colors in the second one, and it's the greens. Now, it's subtle. You really don't notice it at first glance, but it is different. Now, my next thing was going to be, well, when I changed the color for this one here on the right, I felt I didn't use fat quarters. I had yardage. But I thought that I had enough of everything that I could make another one identical to this, because I want 3 in this table runner. No, I did not. So I'm working on another block from Tracy Parks' book, but it's candles, and it uses some greens, it uses some yellows, and it uses whites, and it's going to go in the center of these two. So yeah, there's a variety within this table runner. And here's a theory for you. Table runners don't necessarily have to be symmetrical. If it's sitting on your table and people are getting bored with your conversation at the table, they can look at your table runner and spot the differences. Yeah, another one of my stories I'm going to stick to and say that. Yeah, I can rationalize anything, really. But I'm going to put this together, and as I said, I don't know if it's going to be a table runner or if it's going to be wall hanging. Either way, it's festive. I'm sure I can find some place for it at Christmas time to put it on display. Actually, I've already got an idea. It just came to me. This might fit on my deacon's bench. That would look nice at the front door. Yeah. Anyways, I have to stop thinking out loud here. You don't need to be privy to my private thoughts. Okay, so that's what I've been up to. Now, I've been up to some other things that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, but before we get there, just some announcements. Sewing with me on Wednesdays, as usual. Link is in the show notes. And this coming Saturday, August the 29th, I am running a pop-up sew day. If you've never been to one of my pop-up sew days, well, it's pretty simple. It's come and go as you please. I start at 8 in the morning Eastern time, but it doesn't matter when you start. Whenever it's convenient for you and your schedule. Do you stay all day? You can. If you can't, you don't. You come and go. You can come for an hour, come for 2 hours, whatever fits into your schedule. It's a great opportunity for you to catch up on some projects or to start some new ones in an environment where people are supportive and friendly. And yeah, this is not a clique in here whatsoever. People get along very well, and we love having new people join us too, so don't be shy. You'll be well welcomed. And if you're a little afraid of technology, because this is a Zoom link, not a YouTube Live, don't worry. There are all kinds of people right on here who are willing to, at a drop of a hat, help you out to make sure it's a great experience for you. So don't be shy. Don't let your technological knowledge, or lack thereof, scare you away. It's very simple. Okay, so that's this coming Saturday, August the 29th. Doors open at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And I should maybe say the year in case somebody's watching this millions of years in the future. August 29th, 2026. Those of you on my mailing list, you got the link yesterday in your mailbox. And everybody else, the link is in the show notes for today's video. It was in the show notes video for yesterday's video, and it will be in the So Chatty show notes on Friday as well. So lots of places to find the link. Okay. And yeah, another announcement. My embroidery machine right now. Now you see one behind my shoulder over here, right? That is not mine. That's Walter's. Both of us have the same embroidery machine. We're a 2 embroidery machine household. And the reason it's sitting there is because I'm using it while mine's at the spa. It's getting a long overdue, thorough cleaning, checkup. If anything needs to be done, done. Now, I usually service them myself as much as I can, but it was time for this to go in to have a professional touch to it. It was starting to make worrisome noises, meaning, yeah, it's asking to have a nice spa day. So it's been in for about a week. I don't know if I'll get it back sometime this week. I kind of anticipate maybe later in the week it will be back. Usually the turnaround time is pretty good at Ultimate Sewing. That's where I take it. They have a person that is their outsourcing for fixing their machines, Roy. And Roy, you've heard me talk about Roy before. He is an excellent sewing machine repair person, mechanic, whatever you say. He does excellent work, and I know my baby is safe in his hands. So I'm looking forward to getting my machine back. Walter's is working fine, and it's great, and it's the same as mine, but it's not mine, it's his. Okay, so let's have some coffee. Subscribers' comments, a few of them I want to point out this week. Charlotte says, great tip about filling your binding. I have seen the long-term results of having gaps in your binding. The binding wears out long before the rest of the quilt shows, and shows before the rest of the quilt shows wear and tear. Okay, got that out. Yes, Charlotte, that is very, very true. And in my early quilts, because I was afraid I was going to go make my binding look crooked, I would fudge the seam line of the binding, the joining, so that the binding looks straight. But in doing that, it would have a gap inside of it away from the quilt. And I didn't think much of it, but when you wash it, that has a very good chance of going out of alignment when you do that. There's nothing there to really hold it out. So, yeah. And of course, one thing that I wasn't doing in those days, which I do faithfully now all the time, I wasn't squaring my quilt up. I'd look at it and go, yeah, that looks pretty good. No, pretty good isn't enough. You need to square up a quilt. A few weeks ago on one of my videos here, I showed you how I square up a quilt. So you might want to look back at that if you're not familiar with the process. But yes, we can't be lazy about that. Not, think about it. You've spent all this time on your beautiful creation. You get to the binding. Yes, you're tired. You're pretty much done with the project at that point. You're going, I got to get this damn thing bound. Or is that just me that does that? I don't know. And so you speed up the process and you go, yeah, it's square enough. Yeah, no. Take a breath. You put this much work into it. Don't laze out now. Do it right. So yes, Charlotte, thank you for mentioning that about the importance of not having a gap in your binding. Selena says, another informative video. I don't own a long arm, but I have had lessons years ago at Sewing Group, so I'm somewhat familiar and I learn new tips from you. I also don't buy from Etsy, and this is the part that I wanted to focus on. I did once or twice and they worked, but I don't trust that they are genuine digitizers. However, I have a friend who really likes Etsy designs, so each to their own, of course. Yeah, okay, I sort of bad-mouthed Etsy, but yeah, it is hit and miss, okay? I've had good results from Etsy. I have had bad results. My rule of thumb is, first of all, if I've never bought from a particular seller before that I had success with, then I'm going to be iffy about anybody else. The other rule is I just don't buy on Etsy. I only go to Etsy out of desperation. If I can't find it in any other source I usually go to, I will check Etsy. And yeah, read the reviews on Etsy too before you purchase anything. That will help you out. But, in this day and age of AI, there are, criminals who basically, when it comes to embroidery files especially, they'll put up a picture of something that you think you're buying. And that is not what you're buying. Because what that is they stole a picture or had AI create it from the internet, and they're trying to pass it off as if it's something that they themselves made. The other problem is there are legitimate sellers out there, but they may go through a third-party digitizing platform. There are some on the internet that you can go to. And again, that can cause problems. In some cases, these people selling embroidered designs don't necessarily even own an embroidery machine. They're just trying to capitalize on resources that are out there on the internet for, a quick sale. So, yeah, it's a very good example of buyer beware when it comes to Etsy. But as I said, not all sellers on Etsy are, they're there, they're legit. And, but you take your chances. If you've never dealt with that person before, read the reviews and see, and take your chance. And I would suggest if it's a big ticket item, like if they're charging a lot of money for the file and you don't know anything about them, I would be hesitant. I would maybe test them out first by buying something less expensive, like under $5, or something. See how that works out. And if that all works out, then maybe go for something that's going to cost you a little bit more money that you like. Just saying. And Debbie says, totally agree on Etsy sellers for embroidery files. I've gotten some really good ones and some really bad ones. And she says, sorry that the Grinch file didn't work for you. It's so cute. Yeah, I was a little disappointed too, but there's what I say. It was too many problems with it. And it was about $10 Canadian. That's not terribly expensive. And I knew I was taking a chance when I purchased it. And yeah, it turned out, no, didn't work for me. Maybe somebody else has tried that file and it's worked for them. I'm over it. It's cute, but it's not the be all and the end all of anything. So yeah. Okay, so the past week, videos I've had up on Monday Morning Coffee with Stephen, I talked about making pickles, making 3D prints, and other projects that I've had. And just a reminder that next Monday, which is August is it the 31st? Yeah, it is. Last day of August. Well, the last Monday of the month is when I do Monday Morning Coffee with Stephen as a YouTube live. So there will be a splash screen about that coming up on my channel near the end of the week. And all you do if you want to be part of that live is just click on that splash screen and there you go. And I hope you will be part of the live because the chat is very important to me when I do the lives. It gives me an opportunity to talk to you face to face. Well, not really face to face because I won't be able to see your face, but talk to you live with and answer questions about anything you want to ask about anything. And you can share your tips and tricks and techniques about topics. And yeah, so bring your coffee along with you or whatever your preferred beverage is at that point in time. It does start at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Sorry for those of you out in the Western part of the world because that's pretty early for you, but you can catch it on the replay. And for those of you that in the Eastern part of the world, well, it might be a really nice after dinner kind of thing for you. Whatever. But I do enjoy doing that once a month. There's something about doing a live that definitely is more exciting than when I'm sitting here and talking to myself. Yeah, at the moment. I like the back and forth that we get from a live. On So Chatty, we talked about red snappers. Those are the things you use to hold your backing onto your long arm. There are other methods as well, but we talked about the ins and outs of those and gave you a little demonstration as to how they work. And on Stephen and Walter Live, while we were very serious on Stephen and Walter Live, I am sorry. I know some of you do not like me to talk about politics. However, I am going to talk about politics, okay? So here's my suggestion for those of you that get really upset about what I may say about politics. Don't watch. No, I mean it seriously. If it's upsetting you, then don't watch it. That's okay by me. I try to save the majority of political conversations for the Stephen and Walter Live, because then I have Walter here with me as well. And, it's always nice to hear Walter's point of view on these things as well. And, his input is great. But that's where we concentrate on the most. Yes, it slips out of my mouth on my vlog on Mondays. But to be fair, just let me go over what my 4 videos a week are about. There is overlap, yes. Okay. Mondays, Monday Morning Coffee with Stephen is general topics, usually things that are a little bit more personal about what I'm doing, not just what I'm doing in my sewing room, but what I'm doing with my 3D printers, what I have done in the past week that has, maybe less to do with quilting. And yes, I look at the news as well. Lately, I have been a little heavy on the politics, but can you blame me? This is a very, I'm going to use the word very loosely, interesting time right now. So, it behooves me not, that word behooves me, it behooves me not to discuss how I am feeling about what is happening to me and to my country right now. But I try to not get into as much detail as we do on Stephen and Walter Live. On Tuesdays, the Idiot Quilter is definitely much more focused on, of course, quilting. And I try to keep the politics out of that. And on So Chatty, it's also more focused on quilting and sewing, since Walter is a garment sewer and he's on there with me. And we try to talk about things that are related to the world of sewing and quilting, and issues that may come up there as well. And a lot of the times our topics are based on what you have suggested in the comments. Your comments are important. And then, of course, on Sunday afternoons, when the live, it's a free-for-all. I'm thinking that maybe this week on Stephen and Walter Live, we'll try to be more positive, okay? But there you go. You have 4 different opportunities in a week to decide for yourself, do I want to watch that or do I want to skip it? You have the control. It doesn't work sending me a nasty comment and telling me that this is a quilting channel and you should only be talking about quilting. No. I've just explained to you what I do. If this is not your cup of tea, you don't have to be here. No one's got you tied down to it. And the other thing, too, is, as I just very recently wrote in a comment to one person who seemed to be a little bit perturbed with me about talking politics, my sandbox, my rules. It's my channel. Nobody dictates to me what should be on my channel. It costs you, the viewer, nothing. It is free. So if there's something you don't like, can't please everybody all of the time, right? Then that's okay. Don't watch. But don't get nasty, okay? Because, as I've said many times before, I have the power of the delete key. I just remove you. I just remove your comment. I start with the comment. If it gets worse than that, I remove the person. Yeah. Hate me. It's okay. Haters will hate. Okay, how did I go down that road? Yeah, anyways. And last Sunday we called it You Poked the Bear. And I'm not going to go into details because it's all there for you to see in the replay. Yeah. Okay. Brings us to one of the things I love to show you, and that's the subscribers quilt of the week, or creation, I should say. Subscribers creation of the week, because it doesn't have to be a quilt. And this comes from a long-time subscriber, and we've seen some of her beautiful creations before, and that's Diana Corday. This week's creation from a subscriber comes from Diana Corday, and Diane sends us something a little bit different, but very, very lovely. And this is a picture of 2 woven fabric rugs that she made, and I love the design. I think these are great. She says, "Good day, Stephen. This is a picture of 2 rugs I made from woven strips of quilt cotton. Now I'm not sure if I want to put them on the floor for people to walk on." Yeah, I agree. I don't think I want anybody walking on these either, because they are absolutely lovely. They'd make great wall hangings, and the one in the foreground, that of the little squares, that one is definitely a great little scrap buster as well. But these are all woven as opposed to being sewn, and I have seen this technique done, and there are plenty of YouTube videos out there on how to do this kind of thing. So if you want to give it a try yourself, I would say go for it. I have not done it, but now that I've seen Diana's lovely creations, she's really inspired me to maybe try my hand at it as well. So thank you, Diana, for sharing this with us. They are absolutely beautiful. Don't let people wipe their feet on them. And if you would like me to feature one of your beautiful creations, all you need to do is send me one picture of it and a little blurb about it, 50 words or less, and I'll be happy to present it here on a future episode of The Idiot Quilter. Okay, so that takes me to the short tip of the week on YouTube, and this one is about quilting templates and your presser foot. This week's YouTube short tip is actually nothing really astounding, but it is just very satisfying to watch this. If you put it in an endless loop, it can be mesmerizing. But this is called quilting template and presser foot. So using your presser foot and a template for quilting on your domestic machine. As I said, there is really no instruction here. It's just a visual, but it's kind of fun and relaxing to watch this. So check it out. Okay, so in this next section, I call on my notes. You see, I have notes and I have sections. I call it pattern possibilities and demos. Well, this isn't really a pattern and this really isn't a demo. It's more or less a show and tell of what I have been doing in my sewing room. Now, you know, because I've mentioned it, that I am slowly purging in here, rearranging things, trying to make things more efficient. I showed yesterday on my vlog the shelving units that we bought at IKEA that I have plans for. And Walter yesterday afternoon, bless his soul, put the two shelving units together. So I'm hoping maybe sometime today we'll get them hung. So for next week, if not sooner, probably on So Chatty, you'll see what I'm talking about. But something I want to share with you right now has to do with this thing behind me, not my embroidery machine. You can't really see it here. You see this? And you see there's space under here? This is my cutting area. And I got thinking I would really like this big board that I have on top of my IKEA drawers to be raised up so it would be level with my sewing machine extended table. Thinking, you know, in front of my table now I'd have a big flat surface for bigger projects to hang over without, you know, hanging over the edge of the table, which, you know, pulls on it, makes it heavier to work with, especially if you're trying to do some walking foot quilting or whatever on your domestic machine. And so I took a look around for 3D prints, for risers and things, and I found something. So I've created a little short video clip to show you exactly what I have done. I am very, very happy with this. So as part of my reorganizing, decluttering of my sewing room, one thing that I decided to do was to build risers. And I showed those, I showed the risers yesterday on my vlog for you. But here I have them in use. Now there's about 22 of these little things underneath here, and I'll show you. Those are the risers, and they're all adjustable. And I have them all at 3 inches right now. And the 3 inches raises my table, my cutting table right here, which is a great big huge board, thick board, 3/4 of an inch of plywood, right there you see on the corner, and it's wrapped in a canvas. Now this has been laying flat on the IKEA tabletops that are supported by my drawers underneath. Because I wanted something that was substantial and wouldn't move around. And so what I've done by raising this up, as you can see, it is now level with my extended table on my sewing machine. And on the other side, and this I've had for a while, I have another table on risers off to the left-hand side. So now I can put a quilt on here, lay it out, and there's not going to be any overhang. Well, there might be a little overhang at that end, and I can't do much about that because there's drawers and things on that side that I need to get into. But this is going to lift the bulk of the quilt off the sewing machine. Now, I don't do quilting on the sewing machine. However, I do binding. And this is going to make doing binding just a little bit easier here as well. The other benefit of this is I have raised this 3 inches. So now my cutting, it's a little better for cutting. It's at a little better height. I mean, ideally, you almost want it to be like at your elbow. And it's not right now for my height, but this is still better. So right now I'm loving it. It works well. I even have a little bit of storage area underneath it now for my most used rulers. So you can just slide under here, out of the way. And that's also Very good. So this was well worth the time and effort it took me to make these risers. Now, to make sure that the risers don't slip, I was going to use alien tape, but one of my subscribers mentioned they thought that alien tape might take the surface off of my IKEA tabletops, which is very likely. Also, it's a pain in the butt if you have to move things around to get that alien tape back off. So what I did was I used shelf liner, the vinyl kind of stuff. And that's, I think you can see it just under there. And that's what the risers are sitting on. And the heft of the board itself on top of those risers is pushing them down so this sucker does not move, which is exactly what I wanted. So I'm very proud of my little engineering experiment here. Here you can see it down here on the other side as well. There's a little bit more storage there if I need it. Don't have any plans for it right at the moment, but more storage you have, the more you fill up. So I think this is going to work out really nicely, and I really wish I had thought of this idea a long time ago. Okay, so I will keep you up to date on other improvements in my sewing room, and I have an idea for that raised part now. I told you on the video that I can slide my rulers under there now. I thought of something better. I could make little drawer-like containers that'll fit under there, and I can put some little bits and bobs and things right underneath, and when I need them, I'll just slide it out. I'm going to do those on the 3D printer, so that's one of my projects for later today, to start that up and see how that all works. I love organization. I do. And, when you have a 3D printer, it's amazing the things you can do for creating storage space in small spots that you didn't think of before. And I just love redoing this. And slowly but surely, I am decluttering too. So that will reclaim space to fill up with more stuff, because that's what we do. Okay, so I had something really special. I haven't done one of these in a long time, but I had the opportunity to do an interview. And I did an interview with Donnell of Donnell's Stitchery, and I am sure you are familiar with her. And if you're not, do check out her YouTube channel. She has lots of great stuff there. She runs events all the time as well and does lives. But she's a delightful individual. I really enjoyed my time with her on the interview, and so I have posted the interview, but it won't go live until today, which is Tuesday, August the 25th, 2026 at 8 a.m. It will be live on my channel. But in the meantime, here's a little teaser from that interview. Do you have a favorite creation?
I do. It's actually one I just finished and just got back this morning.
Can you show it?
Yes.
I'd love to see it.
So Donna with Handmade by Ying quilted this
Yep.
up for me. It's my very first completed legit kit.
Oh my goodness. You
Yes.
bit off a lot there. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, that turned out beautiful. Oh yeah, that is
So this was
really
the
beautiful.
legit kit lion. And instead of doing it the colorway that it was designed with,
Yeah,
which for anyone that don't know, is this right here.
right.
I took fabrics from my own stash and designed it, recolored it, and designed it based upon the Detroit Lions colors.
Oh, okay.
Didn't sound like right by Detroit. I'm like,
Yep.
it just, and so that's gonna be my new couch quilt.
Yeah. Okay, so I hope you will check out the full interview. As I said, it should be by the time you see this or shortly thereafter, it should be live for you. Okay, that's it for me right now. I hope you have a good day. I'm going out for a walk, and then I'm going to get back to work on all the other projects I'm working on. One thing I will say, I have never been bored during my retirement, because I love to make things. And yeah, that's just me. And I hope you feel that kind of creator spirit in you as well, because it keeps our brains going, keeps our bodies going, it keeps us healthy and happy. So have a great week, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye for now. Hi, I'm just going to interrupt my program for just 1 second to remind you to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for future notifications. That's all I ask of you. Show me a little love. Thanks.